The snow stopped falling. The rivers kept rising. People drowned days after the blizzard ended. Water killed more than cold. January 1996. East coast of the United States. The forecast was accurate and detailed. Unusually accurate. Major blizzard incoming. 2 to 3 feet of snow expected across the region. Meteorologists were confident. Computer models agreed, all of them. European model, American model, Canadian model, all showed the same storm, the same track, the same intensity. People prepared appropriately. Stores sold out of supplies days in advance. Bread, milk, batteries, flashlights. Bottled water, shelves emptied. Roads were pre-treated with salt and chemical mixtures. Brine solutions applied 24 hours early. Plows were staged at key locations throughout cities. Crews worked 12-hour shifts, ready, waiting. The snow began on schedule, January 6, Saturday evening, exactly as predicted. Accumulation matched predictions almost exactly. Philadelphia recorded 30.7 inches, second largest snowfall in city history. New York City measured 20.2 inches, fourth largest on record. Washington, D.C. received 17.1 inches, largest since 1922. Boston recorded 18.2 inches. Baltimore measured 22.5 inches. The storm lasted 48 hours, not 24, not 36, 48 full hours. Cities shut down completely. All operations ceased. Airports closed, all of them. Reagan National, Dulles, BWI, JFK, LaGuardia, Newark. Philadelphia, Logan, every major airport. Highways were cleared progressively after the snow stopped. Monday, Tuesday, plows worked continuously. Power was restored where it had failed. Crews worked around the clock. Services resumed gradually. Mail delivery, trash collection, schools reopened. Life returned to normal patterns by Wednesday. The blizzard was over. People returned to work. Businesses reopened. The emergency was declared over. Official statements were issued. The disaster was not over. Snow sat on frozen ground across the entire region. 3 feet of snow, packed, heavy, wet. Then temperatures rose rapidly. A warm front moved in from the south. Gulf moisture, warm air. Temperatures jumped from 20 degrees to 50 degrees in 24 hours. Rain arrived. Warm rain, heavy sustained rain, 2 inches, 3 inches. The snow began to melt, fast, faster than the ground could absorb. Rivers began to rise, slowly at first, then rapidly. Snowpack depth averaged 2 to 3 feet across the entire mid-Atlantic and northeast region. Some locations measured 4 feet. Drifts measured 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet in places. Water content was measured at approximately 20% by volume. This was heavy, wet snow, not light powder, dense snow. 3 feet of snow equals approximately 7 inches of water. Total water locked in the snowpack, trillions of gallons across the watershed. Incomprehensible volume. The ground was frozen solid beneath the snow. Frost depth reached 18 inches in many areas, 24 inches in some northern locations. Meltwater could not infiltrate the soil, could not percolate down, could not be absorbed. The ground was concrete, impermeable. Water ran off, all of it. 100% runoff directly into streams, into creeks, into storm drains, into rivers, into drainage systems that were designed for rainfall, not for catastrophic snowmelt. Normal design standards handle a 100-year rain event, 2 inches per hour, 3 inches per hour maximum. This was not rain, this was snowmelt plus rain combined, simultaneous. Rain added to the meltwater significantly. 3 inches of rain fell across the region in 36 hours, rain on top of melting snow, rain accelerating the melt, warm rain. The combination exceeded capacity immediately, everywhere, simultaneously. Small streams overflowed within hours. Brooks became rivers, creeks became torrents. Small rivers became large rivers within a day. The Schuylkill River, the Brandywine River, the Lehigh River. Large rivers became massive floods within 2 days. The Susquehanna River rose 10 feet above flood stage. Flood stage is already high, 10 feet above that. The Delaware River rose 8 feet above flood stage. The Schuylkill River rose 7 feet above flood stage. Historic levels, record levels in some locations. Floodwaters moved into towns and cities days after the snow had stopped falling. Thursday, Friday, a week after the blizzard, basements filled with water in hours, first a trickle, then a stream, then a flood, roads washed out, pavement disappeared, asphalt lifted, concrete cracked. Bridges were undermined by fast-moving water, foundations eroded, support columns exposed, some bridges closed, some collapsed. The flood arrived without warning. No sirens, no alerts, no emergency broadcast. The blizzard had ended days earlier. The emergency was declared over. FEMA had left. National Guard had demobilized. People had returned home. Businesses had reopened. Water followed them. Silent, invisible, inevitable. During the blizzard itself, wind was the primary threat. Whiteout conditions, zero visibility, 50-mile-per-hour gusts. After the blizzard, water was the threat, but water was invisible until it arrived, invisible until inside your home. Floodwaters rose primarily at night, darkness. No advance warning systems were in place for snowmelt floods. Systems existed for rain floods, not for melt floods. No sirens, no automated alerts, no reverse 911 calls. Nothing. Rivers exceeded their banks in darkness. Silent overflow, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Residents woke to water inside their homes, first-floor flooding, rapid rise, an inch, then 3 inches, then 6 inches, then a foot. Evacuations began in the middle of the night. Families fled in pajamas, in darkness, in cold. Some people did not wake in time, slept through the initial rise, woke when water reached their beds. Water entered basements first, always, lowest point. Furnaces were submerged. Gas furnaces, oil furnaces, shut down. Gas lines were compromised. Leaks developed. Electrical panels shorted out. Sparks, explosions. Fires started inside flooded homes. Water and fire together, a combination rarely seen, impossible to fight. Rescue crews responded to both simultaneously. Fire trucks in water, pumping water while surrounded by water. Visibility was not the issue during the flood. Awareness was the issue. Knowledge. The blizzard was visible. Everyone saw it coming. Everyone knew it was happening. 5 days of warning, constant news coverage. The flood was not visible. It arrived silently, in the dark, in places far from the original snow. Towns 50 miles from the blizzard zone flooded. Harrisburg, Wilkes-Barre, Trenton. They received runoff from upstream, from mountains, from watersheds. They had not experienced heavy snow. Maybe 6 inches, maybe 10. But they experienced the water, all of it, from everywhere upstream. Concentrated, channeled, deadly. Water treatment plants were flooded across multiple municipalities. Intake systems were submerged, contaminated, processing equipment failed, pumps stopped, filtration systems backed up. Drinking water was contaminated across Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. Boil water orders were issued, immediate effect. Residents had no power to boil water in many areas. Power was out. Flooded substations, downed lines. Sewage systems backed up everywhere. Treatment plants were offline. Flooded. Non-functional. Raw sewage mixed with floodwater in streets and homes. Human waste, chemical waste, industrial waste, all mixed together. Disease risk escalated immediately. Hepatitis A, E. coli, giardia, typhoid, cholera theoretically possible. Hospitals received flood victims continuously. Emergency rooms filled. Hypothermia from cold water exposure. People trapped in water for hours. Traumatic injuries from debris. People hit by floating objects, cars, furniture, trees. Infections from contaminated water. Cuts exposed to sewage. Roads that had survived the blizzard were destroyed by the flood. Roads that had been cleared, plowed, salted, reopened, pavement washed away completely, sections disappeared, gone, culverts collapsed, undermined, water flowed underneath until they failed, entire road sections disappeared into rivers, Route 11, Route 15, Route 441, sections gone, supply routes were cut again, towns were isolated again, first by snow, then by water, 2 isolations, 2 emergencies, 2 disasters back to back, 1 week apart. Power infrastructure that had been carefully restored after the blizzard failed again during the flood. Substations were submerged. Water reached electrical equipment. Transformers exploded underwater. Massive flashes. Booms. Outages spread across the region again. The electrical grid that was restored after the snow was destroyed by the water. Crews that worked 48 hours straight to restore power worked another 48 hours after the flood. Infrastructure experienced two complete disasters. Not one, two, sequential, compounding, each making the other worse. 80 deaths were recorded across the East Coast. Official count from FEMA. Likely more. Unreported deaths, indirect deaths. Most deaths occurred during the blizzard itself. Heart attacks from shoveling, 30 deaths. Exposure from being stranded, 10 deaths. Carbon monoxide poisoning in cars and homes, 15 deaths, but some deaths came later, after the snow had melted, after the emergency was declared over, after FEMA left, after the National Guard demobilized. Drownings in basements. People trapped by rising water, 5 deaths. Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, electrocutions in flooded buildings. People touching electrical equipment in standing water, 3 deaths, 2 in Pennsylvania, 1 in Maryland. One man in Pennsylvania died in his basement attempting to save family possessions, photographs, documents, heirlooms. Water rose faster than he could carry items upstairs. He could not climb fast enough. Elderly. Slow. The stairs were underwater when his wife looked. He never came up. Body found 2 days later. Another man in New Jersey died attempting to drive through floodwater. Barricades were up. He went around them. His car was swept off the road into a swollen creek. Current was too strong. Car flipped, went under. The car was found a mile downstream 3 days later, body inside, still strapped in. A woman in Maryland died when her home's heating system failed after flooding. Furnace was submerged. No heat. January, cold. She did not evacuate, stayed home. Thought she would be fine, hypothermia, inside her own home in her own bed, found by neighbors 4 days later. The flood killed differently than the snow, slower, more distributed geographically over more time. The blizzard killed during the event itself, 48 hours, concentrated. The flood killed after, days after, a week after, spread out, in places people thought were safe, in homes, in cars, on roads that were open. The total death toll combined both events. The snow and the water that followed, one storm system, 2 separate kill mechanisms, 2 separate disasters, same source, 80 people dead, from one weather event, extended over 10 days. The 1996 blizzard and flood proved snow is not the only threat. Meltwater is equally dangerous, perhaps more dangerous, more unpredictable. Flood forecasting changed after 1996. National Weather Service revised protocols. Snowpack became a measured variable. Daily measurements. Water content was monitored. Snow depth multiplied by density equals water equivalent. Melt rates were calculated based on temperature forecasts. Flood predictions began during the snow, not after. Warnings issued while snow was still falling. Forecasters looked ahead. 7 days, 10 days. River gauges were automated across all major watersheds. Real-time data uploaded every 15 minutes. Warnings were issued earlier, not when flooding started, before it started. Evacuation plans included post-blizzard flooding scenarios, not just the blizzard itself, the aftermath, the melt. FEMA protocols were updated comprehensively. Disaster declarations were extended through melt periods, not just the snow event, the entire hydrological event, weeks if necessary. The 1996 event entered the record as a compound disaster, blizzard plus flood, snow plus water, 2 phases. The first visible, expected, prepared for. The second invisible until too late, unexpected, not prepared for. The storm taught that winter disasters do not end when snow stops falling. They end when water stops moving. And water moves long after the sky clears. Days, weeks. Water moves downhill, always, inevitably, following gravity, following terrain, into rivers. The storm changed how meteorologists forecast winter weather, changed how emergency managers prepare, changed how the public thinks about snow. Snow is not just snow. Snow is stored water, frozen water, waiting for temperature, waiting for rain, waiting to move. And when it moves as water, fast water, unstoppable water. Deadly water.